think everyone would agree with me that it's a great honor to have you here. So I'll ask a few questions, and then there'll be questions from the audience. I'm actually interested that the film is dedicated to Nathalie Sarraute, and I don't know if people are aware of her work, but I think she's a very interesting writer, and I wonder where that came from.
Well, generally, you dedicate something to people you admire or love. She's a great writer, and through her, I learned things about not to tell too much in order for the people who read to look for what they want to understand. But this is true that, and once I saw a picture of her in a kind of big leather coat, very stiff, and she was walking in a field. From the back, the photo was taken like this. And I really thought that was representing what she was in the French literature, even though they call her a nouveau roman, but she was alone, she was an outsider, she was a very independent writer. And I don't know, somehow I assimilate that. Plus I borrowed a little detail of the film to one of her novels. But anyway, I love and admire her. So that's why it's for Nathalie Sarraute.
And I would say I teach film courses, and in my documentary course, I begin with The Gleaners and I, and in my narrative course, I begin with Cleo from 5 to 7.
Big honor for me.
So for me, one can, see both sides of your work equally amazingly, and I think in this one, you do something which is so great because in a real documentary, you depend on what happens in real life. But here you can create
it's a fiction
story. It's a fiction, right? And then you can have this feeling of the documentary with people speaking about her.
And that's also written.
And that's written.
It's not, they didn't improvise it. Well, I wanted to give the feeling that these people speaking about her would try to describe her as she's a perfect example of a portrait, a puzzle portrait. We get some information by those who have seen her pass by, and judgment or sometimes some feeling of disgust or whatever. It builds something that obviously many pieces are missing because she doesn't speak that much. She told a little to the lady, and what I found is that for me, the people in the audience, every of you, in a way, are in the situation of being all these people who say something about her. Like, you could say, you could say, oh, she's too dirty, or oh my God, she's painful to watch. Or, I think we always have our own personality when we watch a film. So these people, I wrote their testimony, but it seems that I tried to speak to you and say, well, I saw her pass and that's what I felt. So we always have to feel something or not, or refuse, or go with. And that's, I think, as I said yesterday, it's a participation of the people who watch or view a film. It's important to give the meaning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, there's the moment with Madame Landier, I think, and the young man who works for her, and she says, "Oh, I met this strange woman. Do you want to go see her?" And I had a feeling at that moment that it was kind of you saying that to the audience. Do you want to see this crazy woman? You sort of, and I think throughout you put us very much in the position of all the people, but at that moment you're saying a little bit, this is this very extreme character, and maybe everybody has a kind of curiosity about her that's a little bit perverse,
Well, curiosity is always wonderful and perverse. So but she's a strange object, for Madame Landier and the clean young man, and his wife being so clean and so bitchy. So, I think they represent people who absolutely refuse her. And the smell. One of the points that I made in the film is that people cannot stand bad odors. They cannot stand things that stinks, and people stink. And you know the big difference between sometimes they say, "Oh, he's poor but he's clean," as if the real border is not so much to be poor but to be disgustingly uh, dirty and stinky. And you know, with my crew, when we went to shoot in some like the squat, you know, or all they're lying and smoking like in many squats, I had to tell everybody, you know, we have to cross, like in the plane, you see le mur du son, you know, like the sound, the wall of sound. We have to cross the wall of stinks of bad odor. And let's be courageous 5 minutes. Then you get used to it because after a while you're there and they're there. It's a fact. But I remember when we came into that, I told them, just keep your reflection and whatever you feel. Feel nothing, please. Because it was difficult. And I was so impressed that, well, to perform that, the incredible young Sandrine Bonner, who we made her birthday, 18 years of birthday on the shooting. She was very young and very mature in her way of understanding it. But, you know, every day we had to make her be 13 or, you know,
Her nails.
make her makeup, her hands, everything. But the hair, that you can never make it look dirty. So we couldn't give her a shampoo. We would give her what we could, dry shampoo, you know, massage of her, whatever, skull.
Scalp.
Skull. And so she would feel okay. But the hair had to remain like this, like hair that has never been washed for a while. So it was very important. She looked like this and that people refuse her. And the first thing that Madame Leontier says when she tells about that, she picked up the cat. She said, "Oh my God, she was smelling so bad. I couldn't believe it, you know, because it's really, I don't know if you had the opportunity to be very near people don't care about that." I was impressed because we did a lot of experience, like we gave birth to one girl in the road, and we gave her a place and a room and a shower. She wouldn't shower. Maybe three days after. So it's like a world in which that doesn't count. And cinema is the place where you cannot transmit that. So I try to show it, and then I try to show very specific things like eating a sardine with your hands. I hope that you had the feeling that your hands were greasy, because the way she does it, you know, and I think through the image you get the feeling. That's why I try, because, you know, cinema is flat and it's representation, and I would like to, in that field, I wanted people to try to understand the texture. It's a documentary texture of, you know, on what she walks and how she sits and how is the landscape, how are the stones, and I was very willing to share the texture of what she, in her behavior and what she's into.
Well, and also, speaking of smells, I thought an amazing moment was when the Tunisian man at the very end picks up the red scarf and just smells it and then looks at the camera, and everyone else who was sort of interviewed or spoke, and he didn't speak, but he smelled the scarf. And since we were seeing through the film that she smelled so bad, it was quite amazing that for him this memory of the smell of her was...
Well, for many people, a memory of smells is important. We have seen all these things, you know, the scarf, the thing, the pillow, the teddy bear, or whatever. But no, what I'm saying is that he cannot speak. He's the only one who really, in a way, understood her and was able to share with her until the group came. It's one of the questions that people, when they are individual, they understand things. They are able to relate to other people. But when the group came, the group of Moroccan people came back, they couldn't accept, as a group, as a culture, as a way of behavior, they could not accept the girl. So the poor Tunisian had to kick her out. I think it's against his own will or desire.
Yeah.
So she's disappointed because it was the only one who tried something with her, tried to teach her to get the wine or something. And that's why he cannot speak, because he feels, you know, that he has nothing to say.